This is a hanging wooden pumpkin that I designed and carved using my desktop CNC machine. It's completely customizable and made from 3/4 inch pine I purchased from my local big box store. If you have a CNC machine at home and are looking for a totally new fall project, stick around and I'll show you how I made it. What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the shop. If you haven't been here before, my name is Justin and this is Aquavita Woodworks. I like to design and build custom creations using my desktop CNC machine and hopefully teach you guys a thing or two along the way. I know I'm going to get a few questions before I even start, so I will tell you right now that I do sell the plans for all the projects I make on this channel. I spend a ton of time making these plans as detailed as possible so that you at home can make all of these projects and hopefully make some money selling them. All of my plans will include what materials to use, what hardware I use, how to assemble the project, but more importantly, they'll go over how to assign specific toolpaths for each component. I've only had my CNC machine for about 2 years now, and I'm completely self-taught. So trust me when I say that I know the struggles of buying a file online and then not knowing what kind of toolpaths to assign to each vector line. My plans try to solve that, so if that sounds interesting to you, the link is in this video description. But other than that, let's get into today's project. I want to make my wife a hanging pumpkin lantern for our front porch because it's currently the beginning of September, and that means that it's fall in my neck of the woods. This is a 14-sided pumpkin that I was kind of messing around with earlier this week. It just uses strips of wood cut out on my bandsaw and then two 14-sided polygons, or tetradecagons if you want to be official, that hold it all together on the top and bottom. While building this, I couldn't help but get tons of ideas on how to improve upon it and make it into a porch lantern. So once I was finished with it, I jumped into Sketchup, and this is what I came up with. The new design uses that same 14-sided shape, but is built to last more than one season. I really didn't want this thing falling apart on my front porch. Not only is it about twice the size of the first one, but it has a full-size light bulb in the middle to light it up like a jack-o'-lantern. To better secure the side panels, I'll CNC pockets into the top cover and the bottom and glue them into place. That way, they'll be in the perfect alignment and they shouldn't move pretty much ever. And for when that time comes when you need to change the light bulb, the top cover is screwed into place with 8 screws. I haven't quite figured out what kind of hanging hardware I'm going to need to use for the top to mount this to the ceiling. I'm thinking it's going to be some kind of chain, but for right now, I'm just going to start out by working on the side panels. The 4 you see highlighted here, as well as the 4 directly opposite of them, are where I plan on carving my jack-o'-lantern's faces. Let's jump into how I plan on doing that. On this prototype, if you were to put a light bulb inside, you'd be able to look at it directly. I don't think that looks very nice, so instead, on this new one, I want to fill these voids with epoxy. In order to accomplish that, I'm going to take these 3 pine boards and eventually cut them into 2-inch wide strips. These are 11 inches tall by 12 inches wide, so when I do cut them down to size, I'll be left with 15 pieces and not 14, but that's fine, we'll just have one extra. Before I can cut them into strips, I need to take 2 of them and carve jack-o'-lantern faces into them with my CNC machine. Once those are pocketed out, I can fill the voids with epoxy, let it cure, and then come back in a few days and plane it from the back side until I hit that layer. That way, I should get some kind of see-through effect when I turn the light on from the inside. So in order to do that, let's go design the faces in my CAD program. I like to use Carbide Create, but you can use whatever program you normally use to make CNC toolpaths. The image you see on the screen now represents just one of those pine boards I showed you earlier. The 5 segments are representing the 2-inch strips they'll be cut into, and the thinner lines represent the blade kerf of my table saw. The 2 images that I'm choosing to carve will be flipped 90 degrees and then centered into the middle of the first 4 strips. From there, I'll adjust the size and then add toolpaths so that they're pocketed out at 0.6 inches. And after exporting my G-code, I can throw them on the CNC and start carving. Now that the side panels are off the machine, I just need to fix a small mistake that I made in the first one. If you look at the letter A in my last name, the middle piece is broken off. I'm going to fix that by cutting a small piece of scrap wood on my bandsaw until it's roughly the same shape as that middle piece. From there, I'll glue it into place and I should be good to go. Now that I've fixed my mistake, I can get ready to start pouring epoxy. I'm currently in the basement of my house because the woodshop is just too dusty, but before I got down here, I did spray a few coats of lacquer over these images. I'm just using pine for this project, so the end grain is really soft, and if I failed to take this step, then the epoxy might seep into it, and my edges wouldn't look very clean. I've already mixed up my epoxy into an orange color that I like, making sure that it's still semi-transparent so that the light bulb can shine through it while it's on my jack-o'-lantern. I like to mix my epoxy using 2 clear solo cups and just eyeballing it for small projects like this. If you want to be more precise and guarantee that your epoxy is going to set correctly, don't do what I do, make sure that you measure it out correctly. Now that I've thoroughly mixed my epoxy, I can start pouring it into our pocketed out areas. I like to use a syringe for pouring epoxy like this, but you really don't have to since we want this to overflow anyway. We're going to come back after it's cured and shave it down with the planer. So let's get pouring. I'm currently in the middle of planing down these side panels, and I think they look pretty great so far. I'm trying to get them down to 0.5 inches because that's the width they need to be to fit into the pockets of the other components we haven't carved yet. The only issue I have so far is with the jack-o'-lantern face. If you look closely above the eyes, you'll see a small sliver of light peeking through. I'm not sure what caused that, but I do know that I need to fix it. If I don't secure those 2 pieces together, when I cut them into 2-inch strips, it's going to fall apart. So in order to fix my problem, I took some clear epoxy weld and sucked it through the cracks with my shop vac. It looks like my epoxy fix did the trick because these side panels look really good. I cut them down into 2-inch strips, but you may have noticed that I left them a little bit thicker than 0.5 inches. I did that because I plan on using my drum sander later on to run them through and get a perfect fit in the other components. Speaking of which, while I was working on these side panels, I did go ahead and carve the rest of the components on the CNC machine. This project requires 4 more carves for 4 different components, one of which is split into 2 pieces. The PDF build manuals associated with this project will go into full detail on how to assign toolpaths for these components, so I don't want to go into too much detail within this video. That being said, I will show you briefly how they're made on the CNC machine. The top and base are essentially the same carve using pocket toolpaths and contour toolpaths. Both use a 1/4 inch downcut bit and an 1/8 inch downcut bit. The only difference between the two is that there's a large hole within the top that will later fit the top cover. The top cover also uses pocket toolpaths and contour toolpaths, but it also uses drilling toolpaths to add perimeter holes for screws. You'll also notice holes in the middle that will be made for electrical hardware, hanging hardware, and for mounting the bulb housing. The bulb housing has 3 matching holes to the top panel so that you can later attach it using 1/2 inch dowels. It too uses pocket toolpaths, contour toolpaths, and drilling toolpaths in order to carve it out. This component consists of 2 parts, and one of them is only 1/2 inch thick. That means that I had to pocket out an area at 1/4 inch in order to carve it out at the right height. All of the components for this project are secured to the CNC using clamps and use tabs to hold the workpieces in place. In order to remove them, I use a multi-tool to cut them off and then move over to my spindle sander in order to sand them down. Once that's done, you should be good to go. Now that our components are off the machine, we can move on to finishing. Up to this point, I did sand all of these components up to 220 grit sandpaper, and I also added an 1/8 inch roundover bit using my router table. My goal now is to make it look more like this pumpkin that I showed you in the beginning, and I'm going to do that by using some unicorn spit. This is a gel stain that I'm still teaching myself how to use, but I found that if you pour the colors into a metal dish and then add some water, you can mix and match and eventually you'll find something that you'll like. I am by no means an expert at doing this, but luckily we have an extra side panel to test on. And before I add that stain, I am going to take a grinder wheel and a torch to these components just to make them look a little bit more beat up. Let's get into it. You may have noticed that during that montage, I sprayed a coat of lacquer over all of these components. After doing that, I immediately regretted my decision because now when I go to assemble everything, the wood glue isn't going to work properly. Because I need to insert the side panels into the base and top components, I shouldn't have added lacquer to the very edges of these strips. In order to fix my problem, I am going to go over it with some sandpaper and just remove that varnish so that the wood glue works as intended. Once that's done, I am going to run these strips through the drum sander just to remove a hair of material so that the fit is nice and tight into my components. From there, I can glue everything up and we should be almost done with this project. So let's go assemble this thing. Well, I made it through assembly, even though it took a little bit more effort than I anticipated with those side panels. But once I played around with it a little bit, it all went into place. Overall, I'm super happy with this project. I mean, if you look at it compared to the original pumpkin, it looks pretty amazing. The only thing we have left to do now is to add all of this hardware so that we can install the light into our bulb housing. All of the hardware that you see here will be linked in the video description as well as my build plans, but the most important thing to note here is this power cord. This cord is designed to fit specifically into our bulb housing unit. If you look at the hexagonal shape, you'll see what I mean. You'll also notice that I cut the plug off because I need to fish it through a small hole in our top cover. Before I can fish that wire through, I do need to secure the chain by fishing it through a U-bolt and securing it with 2 bolts. Next, I can install my wire and then secure it into place with 2 screws. And since I cut the plug off this wire, you will need to add your own plug to the end of it based upon how long you want your wire to be. From there, I'll screw in the light bulb and we'll finally be able to see the result we've been waiting for. And last but not least, we'll secure the cover using 8 screws. We're finally finished with this project and I have nothing but good things to say about it. This is the first time I've built this, so I'm just as shocked as you may be about how much detail we were able to get out of this epoxy. If I were to complain about anything, it would just be about how hard it is to see when the light is off. That could easily be fixed with epoxy coloring, but for how good it looks in the dark, I really don't care. I already went ahead and installed all the hardware on my front porch to hang this up, so let's go see what it looks like when it's all installed.